Welcome back to another episode of Street Level with Chris Chermak. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So today we're going to interview a couple of my friends from the Lackawanna County Suicide Prevention Alliance. We're going to talk about the LOSS team that they just formed, and that's for families if they lose a family member to suicide. There's someone that they can call and get help. Today we're going to have Kathy Wallace from the Northeast Suicide Prevention Initiative. We have Katrina Larusso from the Gino Larusso Foundation. And we have Janice Mecadon from the Ski for Colin organization. Ski for Colin is an organization that was formed actually from a friend of mine, Colin O'Rourke, who died by suicide. And they put together a foundation, Ski for Colin, and their money goes to helping others, and a lot of it goes to the Northeast Suicide Prevention Initiative for the programs that they offer. So these are all great programs. Why is this so important? This Suicide Prevention Month. It promotes awareness for everyone. And it starts a dialogue. For too many years and for too long, it was always, we didn't talk about it. Well, it's important to talk about it, and it'll help initiate changes. So if you need help, you can look at these websites. We have the Gino Larusso Foundation.org, the Northeast Suicide Prevention Initiative.org. Both of those websites have information on the LOSS team. And if anybody's in crisis, you have 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255. And that's if you need help, that will get you to someone that can help you. For anyone that needs help with the Northeast PA LOSS team, there's a couple phone numbers, 570-575-6487 and also 570-575-6838. And basically just say you lost someone by suicide, and these are trained people that will come out if you would like, and they will talk to you about the situation. So it's good information. So I hope you get a good feel like I did after this after you get to watch this episode. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see what they have to say. All right. Well, we're good. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. So we have Kathy Wallace, Katrina Larusso, and Janice Mecadon here with us today. We're going to talk about the new LOSS team that you all put together. Let's start from the kind of like the beginning, how we all got involved in this and how I got involved in the Suicide Prevention Alliance and everything. So I don't know. It was kind of a joint venture with you and with Janice.
Really? So we ran, you came to our walk 2 years ago.
I think it even begins before that, because from, our tie is Colin O'Rourke. Mm-hmm. So Colin O'Rourke died by suicide. Colin was a friend of mine, a friend of his father's a very good friend of mine, and Colin used to work for me, and so we were close, and that was a rough time. Then when I became a commissioner, Dan said, you really got to talk to Kathy Wallace. So that's how our relationship started.
And you did talk.
Yes. I just have to interject this funny story. When Chris was introduced to Kathy, she was all excited, and Chris said to me afterwards, make sure she calls me on Monday. Don't let her forget. The one thing you will learn about Kathy is she will never forget.
And that's not always a
and
good
she
thing.
Didn't.
Yeah.
But I talked to you on a Saturday, and that right in the beginning of the following week, you called me.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to give you a few days, but but you called me, and we started the Lackawanna County Suicide Prevention Alliance.
Yep. We're almost like
That was like December, right? We started around
We
that
started
time?
in December.
Yeah, we put a
Yeah.
meeting together
Yeah.
in my office, and a month later we had a meeting. I think
Yes.
pretty close.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes.
So that's how we got started. And we've grown. I think we're close to 150 members. Maybe I'm
And
not
if
even sure.
anyone out there wants to join, we're always looking for people interested in suicide prevention.
Yep. So they can get a hold of me at the county. Just send me an email. Be happy to take anybody in. It's a great group. So, so we're talking, and this is perfect timing too, because September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, or Suicide Awareness Month, which we did a proclamation today at our county meeting. So that was good to do that. So we stay on top of that. But the reason why we're here today is talk about the Lost team now that you've put together. So you can tell us about that. And it's
local outreach for survivors of suicide.
Yep. And it's a joint thing between the Katrina Larusso Foundation, which you head, Ski for Colin, which Janice kind of heads that up, and then your
Northeast Suicide Prevention Initiative.
Yeah.
We work together all the time. And one thing I have to say about Katrina, and I think this is important for people to know, and Janice, is that they're just not someone who's lost someone to suicide or someone who wants to help. They go to every training they can, whether it's in Harrisburg or wherever. They really want to educate themselves. And we don't see a lot of that. So I just want to say thank you. I'm proud to be a part of this Lost team with you.
Thank you for guiding us.
Yeah. I heard about the Lost team from Govan Martin, who is the head of Suicide Prevention Alliance in the state. And he had a training with Frank Campbell, who used to be the executive director, I guess, of the American Association of Suicidology, which is a national organization. And Frank noticed that a lot of people who lost someone to suicide really weren't going for help. Or if they did go for help, it was a couple months later and they were suffering. And Katrina and Janice could speak to how awful and how awful it is, not just the trauma of losing someone, but the uncertainty, the confusion, everything that goes along with losing someone by suicide. And so Frank Campbell has these trainings. He invented the Lost team to respond to people who initially lost someone to suicide, to help them right up front, right in the beginning, and help navigate their path and their journey, but also to show that there is hope and there is help out there and there is faith out there. So Govan had this training, and NSPI, Northeast Suicide Prevention Initiative, paid for, I think it was 8 people to go to a 2-day training with Frank. And there were 2 Scranton policemen, and the rest were what we call lost survivors, someone who lost someone they loved to suicide. And so we went for the training, we came back, and I think it was Katrina really pushing us. You and Katrina together, really pushing us. Let's start a Lost team. So you want to talk a little bit, and then Jan?
I just want to mimic what you said, go off a little bit. When my brother passed away in 2018, I had no idea what was out there. There was even support groups. I found Kathy by mistake. I worked at Allied. I was walking down the hallway and I seen this big sign that said suicide support group. I was like, wait, what? I've been here 15 years. I didn't even know they did this. And that's how I found Kathy. And now she's stuck with me. And I am thankful because you really are my mentor. I don't know what I would do without you guys. I really say it's like a family. We have that sense of security. We have that sense of understanding. I know what you feel like. You know how I feel like. We don't even have to say anything. We just have to be in the same room. And one of us is making the other one laugh and smile. And we just want to help people.
Well, tell like everyone to know what what your foundation, what you concentrate on.
School. So the Katrina Larusso Foundation for Suicide Awareness is really big on getting education in schools. So we started at Lackawanna College, and Lackawanna College, they were so supportive, they were welcoming. That's where Gino went to school. So our first year, we were able to raise, I think, $2,800, and we were able to get mental health courses in the school for staff and students, which was only an 8-hour training. But what we find out is schools, they don't have any training at all. We couldn't stop there. I wanted to get in as many schools as possible. So this year, we're helping out Mid-Valley School District. This past Sunday, we did an event. I did not announce the total yet, but I can. It's 3,200. And the program we're doing, we needed 25. So we went above that. So it's exciting that we're going to be able to help 15 classrooms, kindergarten through 2nd grade. They're going to do calming corners. So each classroom is going to have a section for any student who needs help. Any student who is experiencing anxiety, any depression, any kind of help they need, they could go in this corner. There's going to be resources in there. There's going to be books of age for them to get support. Kind of exciting that we are, in 3 years, we got 20 classrooms to help out so far. So,
and Gino's foundation, Katrina's foundation, raised money so the teachers could have specific training
absolutely
on calming corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like it's punitive.
That was my
it really
fear.
Helps them.
I was terrified of making it like a timeout area.
Yeah.
I didn't want the bullies, if we will, see them and know there was something wrong.
Right.
So we wanted to rotate it and make sure that every student had an option and just have a feel for it.
That's a great program, I think. So Ski for Colin, we have that as well, which I guess I'm a little bit a part of that
You
too.
absolutely are. Ski for Colin started. This year will be our 8th annual Ski for Colin. We lost Colin O'Rourke 10 years ago this year. And the idea was the concept of his twin sister, Shauna, as you know, Chris. She, within a few days of his passing, she said, we have to remember Colin. We have to do something to keep his memory alive. And since their dad, Dan O'Rourke, is still on ski patrol at Elk, and through the generosity of Mr. Moore and the vice president and general manager and our dear friend Greg Confer and his staff, and the fantastic ski patrol, we were able to host this every year. We've been able to have this fundraising event. And basically, we have been given tickets, a number of tickets to sell, lift tickets that we sell at a discounted price. We have a basket raffle. We have live entertainment. And we do this every year. In fact, I got to give a little plug because I found out this morning, this next year's actually Ski for Colin will be Sunday, January 29th.
Okay.
And ours was a little different than what Katrina was doing. We didn't know what to do with the money. We just knew we wanted to help people and we had no idea how to go about it. And we found Kathy. She was like our angel. We found Kathy. Dan's whole premise for this whole thing was he wanted to keep the money local and he wanted to help people. However, we weren't sure. We had no idea of how we wanted to go about helping people. And Kathy was able to give us a lot of ideas. They
gave us a lot of money.
We were able to initially we were kind of spreading it around. And then when we saw what NSPI was doing, we focused on them. Particularly this year, we were able to help Katrina's foundation as well. But we also, over the past few years, through a private foundation, we were able to get a great match to the money we were donating. So we really kind of gave them a boost. And Kathy, you can speak to the training that we've provided better over the last few years.
I can't tell you how secure this makes me feel. We have our walk, and it's coming up this Saturday, September 10th, up at Naog. And every year I'd be like really anxious, like, what kind of money will our donations get? Because, face it, most of the time we have to keep going back to the same people.
Right. Yep.
And so when Janice, Ski for Colin, Janice and Dan and Sean got this 2 years in a row, really great gifts. It just allows us to do so much more, so much more. We pay for professional trainings for schools. And one is coming up on September 28th. And we've lost 3 teachers in the Northeast to suicide this year. And how can we respond to that? How can we help? And so there's a lot of training for students, for teachers to help students, but there's not any trainings for teachers to help teachers.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Terry Ehrbacher is going to do this training on debriefing and self-care after a death of a coworker, a peer. So that's only one of the things.
So just back to the, you're planning on, are you going to do another event next year? Same thing? Okay. So last weekend you had it at the Post 25 on Rockwell Avenue at the VFW.
Yeah.
Was a great turnout. I was there early and thought I was going to get there to help, but you had everything all done. So I didn't have to do anything.
I've never met
She's
anybody
very organized.
so organized.
Oh yeah.
When you do it by yourself, you have to.
That was
Not
Now I'm
necessarily.
on a team.
it worked.
So I'm like, don't know what to do without you guys now. You guys got me spoiled.
No, it's so, and then with the Ski for Colin. So we'll be there at the mountain this year. Are we going to do?
We're, over the last few years, of course,
With COVID,
2020,
we got squashed a little, but
right. 2021, we couldn't have it due to COVID. Last year, or this year, I should say, January, we had it. We couldn't do the basket raffle, so we just did the tickets. So we're hoping to be back in full force in 2023. One of the other things I wanted to mention, one of the other trainings that we did a few years back, of course, Dan is also a firefighter, assistant chief, Clifford Township. So one of the things that was important was to give first responders some training on how to handle these types of situations. So we brought Govan Martin in and had a great response that year. We had,
except that it was a dinner and a training. And right before the dinner, Dan O'Rourke's fire company gets called out to a fire.
Of course they did.
So, but it was a good time. And it really brought up a lot of aspects you don't even think about, such as insurance, such as stigma. I'm afraid to go for help if I lose my job. All those things that you don't think about unless you're involved in it.
right.
And you know that your background is EMT. So we paid for, I think, 15 people to get the CISM training.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what that stands for. Collaborative intervention. It's peers helping peers.
Right,
EMTs, first responders helping first responders.
Which is Bobby Carpenter, I think.
Bob Carpenter, So he's been wonderful.
Yeah,
he's such an advocate for suicide prevention.
Yep.
He just joined our last team as well.
Yes, yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're sending 3 EMTs down to Baltimore for additional trainings too, that went through the CISM training, and now they're going for more advanced training. So I'm glad you thought of that. I forgot.
Yeah. So now with the lost team, you get the phone calls. They're just, some of them come from the 911 center. Like how do people get in touch with you?
How it's supposed to work. And unfortunately, we need to do some more work on outreach. We work with Tim Rollins, our county coroner, who's been wonderful. And the intent is to go to the family as quickly as possible with their permission. And so we haven't been getting any phone calls or outreach. Sometimes I'll get, a personal one. but as far as the lost team, so this program will help. We really need to get the word out there.
Well, it's brand new. But
Yes. Yeah. So what we also did, we're brainstorming that we put together a packet of information that hopefully will help families at the time they need it. And it's just some suggestions on what to do, where to go, who to call. Hopefully they'll call us. But what we did is we're giving these out to funeral directors. And they are so thankful, Chris, that they're getting this information.
Right.
The ones that we contacted, and Tim Rollins is giving it out to, I guess they have a monthly meeting or something.
Okay.
So he's giving the resources to them.
Well, that's it. Yeah, he'd be the guy for that. Now, is there a phone number? I see phone numbers here. So phone numbers to contact the lost team.
570-575-6838 and 575-6487.
Okay.
You could also contact the coroner's office. They're handing out cards at the scene of a death, and it gives our phone numbers and what we are too.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have it's people who've lost someone to suicide, people who know how traumatic it is. And what we have is a little bag of supplies.
We call them resource bags.
Resource bags. And one thing that when you're in a trauma like that, hydrate. And people don't think of that, but this is just some little things we've learned at the trainings. So we give the resource bag out. And also we have books for children, because one of the things that we get asked a lot is, how do I tell my kids?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, people are so traumatized, they might not tell the kids, even adult children, if they live in a different town, what the cause of the death was. And so these books that we have are specific to children, and we give them out free of charge. And we have other books for adults, and we could hand them out free of charge also. Just to help people through that terrible, terrible period. Nothing's going to obviously take away that trauma, but as Katrina and Janice could tell you more so, I'm more of a coordinator. These guys are walking through it, and so they could express how awful it is.
And the thing too is that I think we all have discussed ad nauseum is everyone's not the same. Everyone doesn't handle this the same way. Even in our group, we talk about, well, would you have wanted someone there that day? Because, as we're putting this together, we're saying, well, how will people feel if we give them this information? We didn't want to just show up. So we that card that Tim Rollins gives out is something that is kind of like an introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And then the packet gives them a lot of information and kind of lets them know, listen, there are people who, if you want to talk, there are people who will listen, who have been there. And then towards the end of that packet, there's a resource page, which even if they don't want to talk to us, it gives them somewhere to go. If at some point in time, it may not be right away, but maybe a little bit down the road, they may decide, you know what, I think I want to talk to somebody. So.
And some of the helpful hints that are in our packet are, and this could go for any kind of death really, but especially with suicide, people will say, if you need anything, call me. And the reality is people aren't going to call.
Right. Right.
And so we offer some suggestions. If it's school, can I pick up your kids from school? Can I cut your grass for you? Good friends, can I do your laundry?
Just show up and do it. Be there without asking.
And you could talk about how paralyzed you are when you get that news. You don't have any energy to do it.
Oh gosh, you're in disbelief. That's why a lot of us, we didn't know if this was going to work or not. We didn't know if going on the scene or waiting was going to help. Kathy and Janice came up with big blue packets. So even if it's tossed to the side, they'll find it. They won't lose it. And even if it was tossed, they'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the packets, a lot of the people, they don't know what to say. We know, we listen, we've been there. But for, say, you, Chris, if you don't feel comfortable saying there's help out there, this is who you have to contact. You just give them the packet, they'll open it, they'll look at it. You don't even have to say anything. As long as you have this available, you're going to help a lot of people. And I think that's the big, message.
And if anyone wants one of these packets, you could go on our Facebook page or our website and just ask us to mail you one.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll get calls from people saying, could you call my friend? She just lost her brother. And we don't make those cold calls. And maybe someday we will, but we really want the family
to reach out
to us. Even if they give a friend permission to call us, we just don't want to add any stress by showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because a family, when it first happens, they're in disbelief. They don't want to believe it. You could sit there and you could have the facts in front of you, but as a loved one, you don't want to believe that person just died by suicide. So it's going to take a long time. And we just want everyone to know that when you're ready, we are available.
So we have websites, your website.
Northeast Suicide Prevention Initiative. We also have the Northeast PA Lost Team Facebook page.
Okay.
Ski for Colin. You don't have a Facebook page, do you?
We do have a Facebook page, yeah.
And the Gina Larusso does as well.
Yeah.
And a website, GinaLarussoFoundation.com.
Okay. Good.
I think we are available if you have like a club or an organization. I was just contacted yesterday. I didn't even tell you guys. There's a fire company, a volunteer fire company. I think it's Einan or Peckville, that asked us to come up and speak about the Lost Team.
Okay.
Because as first responders, we did a presentation at the police chief's meeting, and everybody really thinks this is such a good idea. We have about 10 people who've lost someone to suicide and are volunteering to go out and really help somebody navigate this mess.
Yeah, well, I think what we'll do tonight, you have me thinking. So we have a commissioner meeting coming up. It's the third Wednesday, first and third Wednesday of every month. So since we're still in it's September suicide, maybe I'll get with you and you can come to the meeting and speak on the Lost Team. That would be good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we'll do that.
They're all over the country, and they're like, some states have, Ohio, I think, has 11 throughout the state. Pennsylvania has ours. We were the first one in Pennsylvania, but we're not getting calls yet. And Northampton County is, they have started one, and they're very active. Mm-hmm. They get the names from their county office and go right out to the
Yeah, well, we'll get starting to promote this on the county website now with the Suicide Prevention Alliance, and I hope you never have to get a call.
I know, isn't that it? Yeah.
But I think once the word gets out, unfortunately, you will start to get calls. So
they're nice people.
Well, it's a great job. I don't think, is there anything else anybody would like to add? I think we covered almost everything.
Good, yeah.
But I appreciate their efforts that you do every day. I mean, you have a full-time job. Everybody's busy, but you take time and you do this, and it's just great. And I appreciate it.
It's just too important not to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a club none of us ever wanted to have membership in.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. But the upside of that is that as a group, we have, I think, maybe some of us have healed on our own because of this membership support. Yeah.
Well, it makes you feel good about what you're doing, and it's a good cause.
Yep.
And I'm happy to be a part of it, and I appreciate being a part of Ski for Colin. And
thank you.
And you're speaking at our walk.
Yes.
You are a big part of suicide prevention in Lackawanna County. Well, did I tell you you're speaking?
Yeah. No, you did tell me that the other day. So, okay, I'll figure it out. I'm learning how to just wing that as I go here. But
well, you speak from your heart.
That's right.
So.
That's right.
And we can't thank you enough for helping all of our, being there for all of our organizations and our groups. It's just been, been great.
It's important. And I take it very serious. And when you came to me that time and said, the county needs a suicide prevention, you've been trying to do it for years.
I was just going to say
figure that out.
Been,
why
we've been asking for years.
We got it done in weeks.
You got it done in.
Well, no, we did, but that's all. But it was good, and I was happy to do it. But I appreciate you coming in today. We'll get this out. We'll get the word out. I'll see you at our next commissioner meeting. You, all three, whoever wants to be there.
They have to get rid of their full-time jobs.
Well, this working thing, it's a drag, isn't it?
Yeah,
but, sure is.
Oh, well, but it's all good. But
unfortunately, suicide touches so many people.
Yeah, it does.
That we're really trying to chip off the stigma so people can talk about it and ask for help.
Yep. And I'll talk about that after you guys go when I do my closing thing. I'm going to mention some of these statistics, but it isn't getting better.
No,
especially with COVID and everything we've dealt with. It's been a rough couple years.
I have said many times, and I'm sure other people have said this, but I keep going back to when this happened to us. It was, suicide. People don't talk about it. People don't talk about mental illness. They don't talk about suicide. And I immediately thought years ago, 30, 40 years ago, people didn't talk about if you had cancer. Right. Cancer was like the word that no one said.
Right.
It was whispered. It was unspoken, and now, I felt that's what suicide was like. I mean, cancer, it's out there. We talk about it. We do what we can to, help others and do research and everything. And that's where we have to get to with suicide. And I think we're working our way.
Well, I can tell you when I got the phone call about Colin at 6:00 in the morning, whatever time, I don't even know. I just couldn't believe that the phone call I was getting. But then I found out days later how strong of a person Dan O'Rourke is.
Absolutely.
That I could not do and handle the things that he did with that situation. Mm-hmm. I still can't believe but he's a strong person.
So wonderful.
He is strong, and his daughter Shauna, his family is very, very strong. So, yeah.
Even though sometimes he does drive me crazy at the mountain, but don't tell anybody.
Well, your secret's safe with me.
Well, again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
It's been great, and we'll get the word out.
Thank you again.
Right. You're welcome.